So, hello everyone and welcome. My name is Matt Cool. Thank you for coming to check out this edition of the Hubs Creators Meetup, where we share knowledge around Hubs, Spoke, Blender, and design and help the community create better Hubs experiences. All right, so with us today is Brian and Amir and Anthony. They've created this nice Twins XR experience and they'll be taking us around. So, let's give them a nice, warm welcome with emotes or however we can, and actually have this.
Nice.
That's it.
Love it. Awesome, Matt. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us back again. Thanks everybody for coming out. Like I said, I'm Brian. Across from me in the baby blue jersey is Amir. We're from REM5 Studios, based right here in Minneapolis. Hence, kind of the twins connection here. And then also with us we have Anthony from XP Portal, who was kind of one of the three arms of this project, helping us a lot from the Hub's back end and then all the super UI. So any questions around that can definitely be directed towards Anthony. But yeah, I mean, we'll keep it pretty high level. Kind of on the tour, we'll do a little bit of a walk around. We can talk a little bit about some design considerations. I guess probably to start off a little bit even higher level is yeah, we approached the twins a couple months ago. We've been kind of reaching out to a lot of the major sports teams in our area, and just knowing that, especially for baseball, you saw all the videos of empty stadiums with just cardboard cutouts in it all year long, and so that they're definitely hurting like a lot of other industries to connect with their fans. And we've been experimenting with hubs. I think a lot of you have been on maybe some of our other tours with Matt, and so we were excited to kind of reach out with them to think through what a fan experience in this platform might look like. And so where we landed was what we're in right now, the first iteration of what we'd like to do with them in a larger Twins XR capacity. So this is the Twins XR Virtual Hall of Fame experience. Um, this really stemmed from a project that they were going to do in real life, which was to, bring out a lot of Hall of Fame memorabilia and create an in-person experience that would have happened, I think, mid to late January, kind of with their larger Twins Fest that they hold every year. And of course, like a lot of things, that got cut because of COVID and just general optics around it. So that was kind of our first project, a good way to dip a toe in the water with them. And really just you think about kind of this museum, this installation type experience. I think we all know the potential of what WebXR can do for that. And so we were just like, this is going to be, pun very much intended, a home run as far as really getting a rich fan experience with a lot of content, player images and bios for their entire Hall of Fame, and something that can be a social experience for fans who haven't felt as connected maybe to their team over the past year plus, really, now at this point. um, so yeah, that's kind of the general overview and where we landed. Like I said, we worked with Anthony on a lot of this custom hubs interface. We wanted to make it super simple because we're going to be reaching a large audience of fans that haven't done anything like this before, and at the same time really just focusing on the experience, the content, and then the connection to the team, because you get a ton of hardcore fans in here and they're going to go bonkers for this. And then another shout out, of course, to Wall Ride Games, who helped us with a lot of the design elements. I mean, we get we get compliments on the carpet all the time. That was them. These baseball bat pillars, every little one of these fine touches of the space. Uh, they were a great partner to kind of
Who,
really help bring all this together. So
who was that again? I missed who it was. Sorry.
they're a group
What?
called Wall Ride Games. They
Oh, cool.
are from the Twin Cities as well.
Oh,
We've
very
worked
cool.
yeah, Amir's goes back with them a little bit. We've done a couple other full VR custom experiences too, and they do a ton of really fun projects. So definitely check them out if you're interested. Yeah, I mean, any questions at any time? We won't go a super detailed tour, but just kind of a couple considerations. about the experience. So we all kind of landed in that lobby space where we spawned in. We have some more general instructions up front. We basically do a lot of onboarding with people who going to struggle, and so we try to make it as simple as possible. The twins made a really nice onboarding video that we've been sharing out, but we like to hit people over the head with instructions like right when you land. And then this is kind of our atrium, this first big, kind of wow reveal moment as you're kind of walking out into it. This huge panorama of Target Field, this big spinning Twins logo, and just kind of a grandiose style experience where we can have it rooted in reality, and then we can also have this floating blue sky, these space balls. Why did we never call them space balls? These baseballs out in space. uh, and just kind of give people this kind of grand twins moment when you first walk in. Pieces of directory kind of on the wall across from me right now, talking about the history of the Twins Hall of Fame, how players get in, and then we actually broke up the 34 Hall of Famers into the 3 clubhouses. And so there was definitely a little bit of design considerations as far as, again, how do we make this super simple for people to navigate? And so it's really this one giant circle. We can actually probably move over to this our little map here. So thinking about ways how people can kind of get around the space. This really came down to creating these 3 clubhouses so we can you know a ton of people into one room at a time as far as the Hall of Famers go, and preserve kind of the content experience. And then also, right, it's a circle. So if you get lost, you just keep going. We put it in chronological order so you can kind of, we didn't have to put like maybe some of the more fan favorites in one room. I think it kind of worked out pretty nice as far as a really exploratory type experience. Yeah, tons of content, tons of photography. We had great resources from the Twins who have all of this archival material, so you can make it not just about the Hall of Famers, but put them in context to the stadiums that they played in, and then just the general history of the sport. So, any kind of questions off the top here that we could answer, even as far as maybe UI decisions or um, anything you've liked so far? All right, cool. Well, we'll just keep rolling then. Like I said, clubhouses. So we'll just pop into the first one here. A lot of guys from the 60s and 70s. We designed in a lot of these.
Powerful, so we might lose people as we go. So maybe we get into
Oh,
a.
yeah. Yeah, gather around. Decently sized enough so that you could get everybody kind of into one clubhouse, but at the same time have these like semi-private experiences. If you know, and you've got somebody in the atrium and another group in clubhouse 3, you're all in a shared space, but still it's separate enough. Yeah, so this is our first clubhouse. Again, kind of this oval shape that's modeled after the actual clubhouse at Target Field, so a little bit of a homage to that. Each player has their locker, again, like you would see at Target Field with the names and numbers above them. And then we just have a little bit of bio. These charcoal hero images are actually all made for each Hall of Famer. So cool to include those. A little bit of stats about everybody, the years that they played, and then we've got these hero 3D models in every clubhouse too. So this is a replica of Harmon Killebrew, who's one of the famous Hall of Famers. The bat he used to hit a 520-foot home run. So again, a lot of playing with scale. Like make it larger than life. And you can get right up and close to it and kind of pretty cool access to you may never see this bat in real life outside of a photo, so it's nice to see like the actual pine tar on the handle, and some signatures on the end of it too. And just a really cool use of assets that the twins had that we could actually carry over and bring into 3D space here.
Hey, Brian, quick question. Did you guys, what kind of considerations did you put into making objects interactive? Like, had you considered, making this something that people could grab and pick up and play around with? Or was that something that you kind of wanted to limit to keep the experience simple?
Yeah, I think definitely all decisions went towards that second option of how can we keep this super simple as a place to have a really cool social immersive experience and to be able to take in a lot of the informational content, um, but not needing to get too far into the weeds, just still understanding that our core audience is going to be very much WebXR first timers. Um, and a lot too of just preserving the experience for others, so making sure that everybody has the same experience. So if it was an object that could be moved and then all of a sudden it gets yeeted off into space, someone just throws it out the ceiling or whatever, we just, yeah, it was always a consideration of, you know, yeah, keep it simple. The videos autoplay. You don't have to adjust anything. Just because we've put so many people through WebXR and just seen them. They navigate the space just like this. They don't even snap turn. They don't use their mouse, and so it's like, all right, even all of these lockers, it's at eye level. If I end up not figuring out how to turn my body, like I can at least still see the general um, information around me. And I know it may sound silly, but it happens so often, kind of no matter what you do. And I'm sure a few of you have maybe seen that. Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, so you guys are obviously like designing it for ease of use, like you said, but you're also not necessarily like too bound by reality. Like the decision to make the bat much greater than life size, as opposed to like walking up to a pedestal with a bat that would be proportional to this avatar. That's really interesting, right? Because you're making it larger than it ever could be in real life. Did you guys, was that a conscious decision to play with those proportions?
So what was really cool about the design process in general is that, working with the 3D team, we'd get over a new model, we'd pop it into WebXR, or we'd load it into Spoke, right? And then we'd all come in and
Yeah.
just look at it in real time, which, again, I'm sure a few of you have done, but it's a very, very cool design tool just to do stuff in real life. So what we'd do, right? We'd stand up here, we'd walk into this room and we'd say, okay, what do we want to see? I can see
Mm.
the names clearly above all of the clubhouses or all of the lockers. So that's cool. If I want to go over to Killabrew, boom, I can beeline over to that. Um, a bat relative to our bodies in this space would get lost in the grand, like the literal grand scheme of this room. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I think playing with size, and you'll see it on the other objects that we used in the next couple of clubhouses, was, you get to see detail up close. And yeah, it's just a matter really of doing stuff that we can't do in base reality. Oh,
Nice.
there's Dan. Sorry, I was like,
No, that was great.
which Red Twins avatar am I talking to?
That was great. How wide is each clubhouse? Like in meters and spokes in spoke.
Really good question. I'd have to check to get an exact number,
Mm.
but definitely part of the consideration, right? So when we popped the avatars in here, we wanted to see, okay, again, for somebody who's not good at moving around, can we make these walkways wide enough, for somebody to get
Yeah.
around somebody? And also thinking about how people say this was a museum, and I'm over here reading this. I want some space to go behind someone, to be courteous about not like breaking the line of sight. And I know sometimes it sounds silly to think about those like real world constructs, but as we find out, we all end up in here anyways. So that was definitely a consideration. And yeah, just, I think by playing with scale and making it these nice big rooms, it feels very robust. You could imagine if somebody tried to build this in real life, I mean, it would be a tens of millions of dollar project. So again, it kind of falls into that why not category of really, making it big, making it legible, especially playing with the text when you get up to those lockers. And so, yeah, there was definitely a lot of rounds to get this room right. But once it was, we were able to, I mean, more or less copy and paste to the other two. And so that was a lot of the decisions. Like, let's get this first one right. We can actually walk over. There's a media room off of every clubhouse that has a video and some more photos in it. If everybody wants to actually pop in there. And so that was the thing. It's like, all right, let's get the first one of these right, and then we'll know that we can just save some time in not completely modeling the other ones from scratch, giving ourselves a really good template to work off of. So yeah, swing over. The audio for the video will of course kind of start when you walk down the hallway. You guys can all adjust that as needed, but I'll probably just not say anything. You can just pop in there and check it out. Again, great archival footage from the twins. They put this video together for us, and it reflects all of the players that are in this clubhouse. So it's a really nice one-to-one.
Gets home, the ball goes by Brienne. Holy cow.
So I was supposed to go on this walk, so it just so happened it was the same time.
Awesome. Well, let's swing over just into the second clubhouse. Again, you'll see that architecturally it's the same, but just with new players, and we can. But yeah, so this room, I mean, yeah, if anybody's a baseball fan, you've the Metrodome, and so like this room is a lot of those 80s and 90s twins. They won the World Series in '87 and '91, and so we did this replica commissioner's trophy in the middle here. Again, playing with scale because why not? So do so at your own risk. But that's pretty fun. A lot of people just pop up there, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Again, I'm not. Um, yeah, a bunch of fan favorites in this room too. Of course, we've got Kirby Puckett Slacker. And I think we're all aware of how this can all transcribe to any fandom or any industry or any kind of historical setting. It's all the same way of taking in content. Yep, similar thing. We've got a video in the video room there, the film room that reflects all of these players and shows a lot of that World Series highlights. I guess kind of a good time for a small story. So on Tuesday we did a press conference in here, and so we had about 12 people from local and national media in here with us, and then we actually had two Twins Hall of Famers on the tour with us, right? And I again talking to Matt and a couple other people in the room here, we know that that's like probably the most powerful way to use this medium. And so we've got Torrey Hunter, which again, you don't have to be much of a baseball fan to know who Torrey Hunter is. He's in here with us telling stories about how one of the older Hall of Famers told him to change his signature because nobody's going to know who TH is 100 years from now. And it's just one of those times that like gives you shivers thinking about these types of experiences and getting people in a shared space to like tell stories and have access to those type of players. um, that you just couldn't have any other way. I mean, he was just like at home and like on the East Coast on his phone, just like chilling with us. And 13-year-old me is like very excited to be talking to Tori Hunter in a WebXR space. So yeah, that was just something that was really cool and very powerful. So if any of you guys have the opportunity coming up to like get those type of VIP and kind of and like really exclusive access, it was very cool to see. And I think definitely one of the most powerful use cases that we've seen so far.
So there's a lot of text in these textures. I'm just trying to think of like, okay, how many different textures am I looking at that all have to be legible, but also have a color photo in them? You guys are hosting this on this is you're hosting your own, right? There's like you have a bigger ceiling for model sizes and texture sizes.
I don't know if
I
Anthony's stuck in a blizzard, but he might have some
no,
good
no,
notes on
actually, I can
that.
speak that. Yeah. So, well, the thing to keep in mind is that it's extremely optimized. So we're not
Mhm.
actually we're not loading major assets, right? What is the file size, Brian? What did we get that down to? Like less than 50?
Yeah, we are less than 50.
And we're also using Cloudflare workers, so it's not so much stress on the server. Cloudflare is kind of doing the distribution, so it actually really works out well.
Another shout out to Wallride. I mean, the first couple iterations as far as especially working with them to kind of help them understand a lot of that, our spoke report card basically, because for a while it was just like all red, all sirens, like nothing was good upon publication. So we worked with them a lot on and actually learned a ton from them too on just like optimizing down to JPEGs, playing with the textures that they were working with. A couple optimizations that we made to break up these some of these larger bits of color, especially when you're in full VR. And yeah, like I said, it was kind of a good learning for all of us. But yeah, they definitely had a lot of skills to help us, get the file size down to where we needed to be. So basically, we have, let's see, we've got the three videos coming in. We have the three main these all three of these objects, these hero objects are their own, and then the entire structure itself is like the final object. So yeah, we're not running a ton of like individuals as we would have in the past. Like every single one of these, every single 34 of these uh, locker assets like coming in as its own, and Spoke's just like, you've got 900 things in the room. So that was a major learning for us, and I think we got it to a really good place because I don't know if anybody besides Anthony maybe is on mobile in here. Carrie might be. This thing
Yeah, I
hauls
am.
on mobile. I mean, you can 60 all day, and it looks really nice.
Wow.
So that was a big consideration. We knew that we didn't want to overpromise from the beginning, but we know that with a younger audience that you want to reach, mobile is kind of a have to have. So luckily we got it down and it looks great. It looks really good on mobile. So
So
It's
are
amazing
all
VR.
yeah, are all of these lockers then built into the environment?
so basically the lockers, some of this faked lighting up top, the all of the bats, everything structural is one file. And yeah, and then all of the locker text actually was uh, baked into that file as well. I don't know if that's maybe the correct terminology, but basically everything except for these hero assets in the middle came in as one GLB.
And the hero assets are separate because they're rotating. They need to bring in keyframes.
Yeah, we had to loop the animation on those.
So you said you had a bunch, well, you expected your users to be first-time WebXR users. I mean, I imagine that was true of the team too. Like, how did you kind of approach the team with this and get them interested and kind of continue to get sign off with MLB as well? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like I said, we were talking with the Twins back in November, kind of with an initial pitch. I mean, we did a very down and dirty like test room that just showed like, you can bring merchandise into the space, you can have videos, just the classic, showing the ability of the platform, which for most people is 90% of getting their brains excited about the potential. Um, and then yeah, so clearing a few of the hurdles were working directly with the Twins, but then basically Major League Baseball owns all of the digital assets of all the teams. Owns again might not be the correct word, but has a very controlling say in what you can do. And so that was the next really
Sure.
big hurdle was getting their sign off as far as workflow and the user experience. So even for this space, there's a quick registration, and that's really for the MLB with like data collection and they kind of have a lot more of those systems in place. But I think Anthony too. At the end of the day, it was a lot about us not having access to individual user data of and we had to kind of be blind to all of that. But yeah, it was definitely another very much learning experience. But now that that's cleared, that's a really good sign, for us and potentially chatting with other teams or it's a big hurdle that's been cleared, and we're excited that everything is go and we're in the space here with you guys today. Let's put it that way.
That's great.
Well, cool. I mean, yeah. Yeah, so we launched actually on Wednesday the 10th. Let's see, that would have been mid last week. We're right now just in my own private instance that I've been using for stuff like this and meeting up with all right. It was so funny because his head just like stayed big, and we're all like, "Oh my god, it's gonna explode!" You good, Ricky? You good? Okay. Um, yeah. So we launched. Yeah. No, no. We launched on Wednesday. We've got kind of basically a room selector with a few rooms open where people kind of jump to, and then right you can meet up with your friends and pick the same room. We're just off the grid right now as far as kind of doing one-off specialty things like this. But yeah, so we went live Wednesday with the Twins, and it's been going ever since. We weren't fully sure what to expect, so we kind of battened down the hatches. But yeah, just excited to keep pushing it with them, and we're learning a lot just as far as continual communication about like what this is to people and how you can use it across devices. You don't need to have VR. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think we're all still trying to make sure we have like the language and the visuals, and you can show people how to do it, but just continually learning what people expect when they hear about stuff like this, and just how we can better communicate that and continue to get people in here as quick and easy as possible, basically.
Do you have any early data on how people are accessing the site? Like, are they using laptops? Are they using, mobile phones, VR? Do you have any early data on that?
Nothing hard. We're basically oh, Anthony, is that you? Yeah, maybe you've got some idea.
Hey, like we're not collecting, we're not able to see who's coming into the space. That's what's really great is the way that we did this is we set the microsite. The homepage has an iframe that has a lot of like their tracking. So we're just seeing when people are getting to the homepage, and that's it.
I would say in general though, we plan for 90% desktop use, 7% mobile use, and maybe 3% VR use. It's one of those things where we've discovered, I guess, a little bit of background on us. We have a REM5 has a couple different arms to it, including a physical entertainment space. And so, right, we are very used to putting people in headset VR, and for the last 10 months, that has not been the case as much. So we've been very interested in this platform explicitly for the fact that we can reach people on desktop, right? If you can do Zoom, you can do this. This is the Goldilocks zone kind of between the two as far as immersion goes. And so, um, again, yeah, that's a big plan for it, is just knowing that and assuming that our audience is going to be high majority coming in on laptop and PC. Um, we love to see that people are in VR. That's great, and we've actually used it at our physical location to get people in it in VR this past weekend and this coming up weekend. So it's kind of a nice way where we can get feedback on that experience too from people who, again, have not done basically anything in this space. That's mainly who we work with. Our audience is a lot of first timers for basically everything, which is good.
How has
But
the
yeah,
response been? How has the response been anecdotally from people? Like, have they been able to figure out how to navigate, and has the response been positive?
it's been really good response. Once we get people in here, like they're pretty much blown away. And you can imagine if you're both maybe a tech person and a baseball person, or a tech person and a twins person, like this is your mecca, basically. We're hoping, at least. So yeah, people get super excited. I mean, and that's where we get a lot of these, especially like from that press event on Tuesday, you get a lot of these candid conversations where, a reporter is now interviewing a Hall of Famer in this space, and there's a new way of having those conversations. But he brings up, he's like, this is a time capsule, right? This is the future, and generations could come back, again, as we know, tech changes, but could come back into a space like this. And for a lot of, assuming nothing changes too drastically, like this space could be open well into the future, and you could revisit it as a moment in time, and stuff like that's just really cool to hear. People who have just come into the space for the first time saying stuff like that, we're like, okay, sweet, like that's awesome. So yeah, people get super excited. We had a couple of guys who run kind of like a twins Twitter account into our virtual or into our physical location last weekend, and they were just pumped. Kind of the younger generation. So this is all natural to them. But we had three of them rolling in quests all at the same time, and I'm like kind of casually listening into their conversations about uh, they're like, oh, this is so cool, and like these videos are sweet, because especially for a younger generation, like seeing like retro footage is kind of still kind of wild and different to see that time. And a lot of guys who are interested in this kind of archival stuff are just like, when are the twins going to release this so I can look at it and watch it. So this is kind of a little bit of a, I guess, maybe a place where you can do sneak peeks and kind of house some of that super unique um, content, especially these photos too, like picking out kind of the bread and butter from the past 60 years and being like, yeah, that needs to be on the wall. I don't know if we already passed it, if it was in the last hallway, but there's a picture of one of the players signing autographs for like a
With the
group of
nuns. Yes. Oh
yep
my God, that's so funny.
nuns day at the ballpark. I'm like, yeah, I mean that's hilarious. That needs to be in the space, and so of course
Yeah.
now it is.
Does the team have future plans for this? Like theoretically, this could be like a place for fan events. They could have a current day player come in here and talk to fans or what have you. Do they have plans to use it in other ways?
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking our language as far as that goes. So, you know, we kind of open it up to the public, kind of as like, this museum always on type experience. You can come in whenever you want from wherever around the world. You guys know how it works. But yeah, we're definitely gonna be talking to them some more about some time-based experiences. Yeah, we'd love to get more players, current and former, into the space as far as like, a pop-up or like surprise type experience goes. Um, Definitely some conversations with them moving into the future of using this space as for more of like VIP style events, private tours. Um, Basically, our window of the public uh, offering is just a 2-week test period from the 10th through the 24th, and that's really just to gauge, get people in here and give it a little sense of urgency for now that we live in these worlds of like, I don't know, it's online and it'll be there whenever I want, kind of get a little bit of urgency in people popping in. And then yeah, we are chatting about a couple more um, activations with them as we move closer into the season starting. But completely agreed. Everybody goes, when am I going to get to watch games in here? And like, yeah, that's the maybe not the golden goose, but it's and a little bit of the obvious choice. But if that's what people want to do and it adds value and it's a social experience, and people aren't going into the ballpark maybe anytime soon, uh, we'd love to chat more with them about that because that's first on everybody's list. I want to be in here with other fans, feel like I'm around people watching the game together, and you know talking baseball, talking Twins, I guess.
That's awesome. So this is going down on the 24th. You said it's only 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and that's of course all relative. We know we can all just spin it back up or use it as needed, but yeah, that was kind of the first. That's just in our agreement with them, especially as far as uh, and Anthony could speak a little bit of this, but like, kind of our extended server space, anticipating a larger fan load. So kind of these, open it up, get people in, close it back down. And like I said, we are in discussions of doing stuff a little bit further down the line this year. And who knows? I mean, we could get to the 24th and we all decide like, hey, we should do a bonus week and we can just kind of, we have the flexibility to adjust that as needed. But it's good to kind of put a little bit of an end cap on it just to see if that moves the needle at all as far as like I said, getting people a little bit more uh, fired up to check it out while it exists, I guess. Awesome. Well, hey, appreciate all the questions. Really good stuff. I mean, myself and Amir and Anthony will maybe be around for a bit, but I would just say, Matt, unless you want to say anything else, everybody else can you can
Actually,
explore the space a little bit. There's a third clubhouse down the hallway, and yeah, feel free to hang out. But like I said, that's kind of the gist of it, and we're really excited to have you all in here. Definitely share the space out. I think Matt on the meetup had the link for like the official registration, so you can go in through like the full process. And because we'd love any feedback as far as that goes, of like your user experience, or any hiccups you had, just because we live in we end up living in this with like horse blinders on a little bit, where we want to think about everything that goes into it, but sometimes you're just a little too close to the project. So any feedback you get, but like I said, share it with people if you want. Bring people into it and do whatever you want. Take advantage of it while it's open. We want people to use it. So thanks again for coming out.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody for all your great questions.
Brian, actually, I had a quick follow-up question.
Bartlett, Tomorno, and the regular season is over. Win number 96, and right now, the Twins own first place. They've got a batting champion. Another fastball drilled to left. Way back, and the walk.